All right, well, let's get started. Looks like we're all ready to go and get into our yoga practice. The proof is in the pudding. So let's move to our mats. I am going to mute us, but you are welcome to unmute yourself at any time. Use that chat box to send me questions, whatever works best for you. So we'll have, oh, I tried to get up too quickly. Let's do that a little bit more slowly. So we can have our usual props nearby. Pillows, blankets, yoga blocks. Our pets might be joining us nearby our mats. And tonight, I want us to start like we did on Sunday morning. So we are actually going to start in child's pose. We'll just take a moment there to redirect all of our attention inward, to immediately start to center and bring that calmness into ourselves from within. And then we'll start some of these fluid movements to just loosen things up from our day, kind of clean things out and go from there. So I do want us to take support as needed for our child's pose. So if we want to sit back on a blanket or a pillow, that helps with the knees. You're welcome to tuck those things back there. That will soften that position. If we want to place pillows, bolsters in front of our body, we're welcome to do that. We may keep our hands stretched out, fingers nice and wide, hands nice and broad, getting that stretch through our side bodies, sinking the heart. But do be sure to support the forehead in some way. Excuse me. If the forehead is touching the floor, that's fine. If we want to slide our stacked fists or hands into the forehead, that's great. Or again, use a prop of some sort. Let's close our eyes. Really feel the contact with our body and the floor below us. Feel the energy coming up through the earth. Reach for it through the hands. Let the weight of the body sink back down towards the earth, feeling grounded. Child's pose is a restorative pose. It is about grounding. It brings a sense of security and stability into our body. And in doing so, it helps to relieve anxiety and improves the quality of our sleep. So a lot of benefits come from this pose. So let's just sink into it, soften the muscles, loosen the joints, consciously move through our body tonight. Continuing to let go of any tightness we might find. Big stretch across that low back, around the hips. The more we let our heart sink, the more we'll feel that through the shoulders if the arms are stretched out through the fingertips. Start to take some nice, smooth, deep breaths in this pose, in and out through the nose as well. Our breath will move a little differently than if we were lying on our back. So the breath will be pushed a little bit more to the back side, which is great. So we can stretch those muscles between the ribs where they wrap around the back of our torso. Every exhale, continue to let the weight of the body sink. And we'll take just a couple more rounds, as smooth as breath as possible through the nose. Those inhales, we breathe in our fresh prana and energy for our evening. We can also breathe in a positive intention or dedication for our practice tonight. And every exhale is just as important to let go of stale old air and energy, to let go of any stress, worries you might be carrying around. Just clean everything out. Let it go. One more cycle of breath for each of us, trying to make this breath our biggest breath of our day or our practice yet. So take the time to fill the body up, inhaling, inhaling, inhaling. And then a really nice big exhale when we get there to release all that air back out of the body. And the next inhale, carefully start to float the head up. If you need to re-extend the hands, go ahead and do so. We'll walk the hands back towards the body so that we can put some pressure into our hands as we lift our body up. We'll need to rearrange ourselves a little bit here. So if you do have props around you, we can slide those out of the way for a moment. Stacking those joints, hand under shoulders, knees under hips. Toes may be tucked here or pointed. And then stabilize that low back by drawing the low belly in, getting the benefit for the knees. Now let's stretch just our right foot back straight behind us. The ball of the foot is to the floor. We're opening up the eye of the knee, getting that nice blood flow to rush all the way down the leg. Take a nice deep breath in. Exhale, bring the right knee down. Hips stay level, pull the low belly in, left leg stretches back, open up the eye of the knee. Shift the weight back as you like. Big stretch, blood rushing down through that knee joint. Equal weight in the hands. Big breath in. Exhale, bring the left knee down to the ground. Couple cat-cows, loosening things up still. On the inhale, relax the belly. Try to lift that tail up. Really try to stretch the spine up through the crown of the head. Exhale, we scoop the tailbone under. We round the spine up to the ceiling, drawing the chin towards the chest and taking our drishti towards the belly button. Come back to an equal rhythm for your breath and body. Inhaling to a gentle back bend, decompressing the intervertebral discs. On our exhales, we're stretching and rounding and stretching the muscles. If one of those feels really yummy for our back and our body tonight, hang out in it for a while, add a little lateral movement side to side. Maybe we need a little bit more around the pelvis and the hips, maybe a little bit more between the front and back of the heart, around the shoulders. Keep that weight equal in the hands. Keep trying to disperse the weight into the first knuckles of the fingers so we take some of the pressure out of our wrists. And then let's balance ourselves out and come back to a neutral position here. At this point, we'll tuck our toes under and we're going to walk ourselves towards the back of our mat, still in our tabletop position. So we'll start with a very gentle Surya Namaskar, or a variation of our low flow. We'll take it slow. We try to move one movement with one breath, but some of us might be taking additional breaths in there, and that's totally fine. So don't worry about that. We'll walk our hands 1 hand's distance forward. Now keep that low belly pulled in to keep the spine in neutral. On our inhale, let's rock forward to kneeling plank. We're gonna go right into it tonight. So on our exhale, squeeze your elbows towards your rib cage and lower all the way down to the belly. The chin will come forward. Flatten out the tops of those feet, keeping them wide for low back people, or feet and legs together. Using the strength of the back, inhale, squeeze those muscles to float the heart up. And maybe we start out with these tiny little baby cobras tonight. The exhale brings us back down to the ground, tucks the toes and the tailbone. And then as we inhale, keep your elbows squeezed into the rib cage, straighten your arms, and try to press back up to a kneeling plank. On our exhale, we're gonna take our bow. So we'll drive the sit bones back towards the heels. They don't need to touch. We'll drop the head towards the floor. It doesn't need to touch. Lift your palms away from the ground, coming onto your fingertips in Hasta Bandha to give the wrists a quick break. That's one round. Inhale moves us into kneeling plank. Keep the head in line with the spine. Exhale, the elbows bend straight back by the rib cage, and we try to lower down all the way to our belly. Smooth control. Chin forward, point the toes, squeeze the shoulder blades down the back. Inhale, lift the heart. If we're ready to increase the strengthening, you may either lift your hands up, or some of you do a fuller version of Cobra and press through the hands. That's totally fine. I add an extra step, exhaling, coming back down to the mat, tucking toes and tailbone. Pull the inner belly away from the mat. Inhale, press the ground away from you as you straighten the arms, kneeling plank. Exhale, pull the navel back as you drop back into your bow. Let's try 2 more of those tonight. Inhale, kneeling plank. Exhale, half chaturanga dandasana, all the way to the ground. Point the toes, squeeze the muscles down the back, all the way to the buttocks. Inhale, cobra, choose your variation that's healthy for you. Exhale, everything comes back down, toes and tailbone tuck, pull the belly in. Inhale, push back up to kneeling plank. Excellent. Exhale, take a bow. Now we'll all do our last round. Just move with your breath. Slow, mindful, controlled movements. This becomes a moving meditation. On the exhale, when we get there, we're all moving at a little different pace. That's fine. When you go to take your bow, go ahead and try to take it all the way back to a child's pose again for a moment. So you can shift your weight back, sit bones to heels. The fingertips may stay extended, but if those hands and arms need a quick break, slide them back to the feet, dropping the weight of the upper body over the lower body. So we can just take a quick break in our child's pose. Now we're going to add on. We might want some additional cushion because we will be doing some low lunging. So next inhale, stretch your fingertips forward. You can walk your hands in and sit up for a moment. If you need to reach for a folded blanket, another nice option is to bring a long edge of the yoga mat over, but I'll show us that when we get there. So we'll bring our hands back forward into our tabletop. Toes are tucked under. Hands walk back forward. We'll take one flow and then we'll start adding those low lunges. Same thing. Inhale, glide forward, kneeling plank. Exhale, try to keep that spine in neutral as you lower down. Nice head and spinal alignment. Chin forward, point the toes. The strength of the back and the buttocks lifts us up. Lift that heart. Bhujangasana. Exhale, we drop all the way back down. We prepare to push up by tucking the toes and the tailbone. Squeeze the core, strong arms. Inhale, kneeling plank. Now in this exhale, bring your hips slightly back so you're almost like in a tabletop position. You might want to walk your hands back towards you. So it's just another extra step. Right hand behind right thigh. Safely place your right foot forward, ankle underneath the knee. The left knee might want extra cushion. Now, if you can't place any weight on that knee, you're welcome to lift it up and you'll just be doing a little stronger of a lunge to begin with. More strengthening versus the stretching. Or take the long edge of that yoga mat, tuck it underneath the left knee. Left foot could be tucked under or pointed. Now draw that low belly in. Take one hand at a time to our front thigh. Drive that upper buttock down, pull front body to back body, coming into a low lunge. Some of us will feel this through the front of the left thigh and hip flexor as well. Keep breathing. So we're not moving at one movement per breath just yet. More balance. Add those arms, reaching them up towards the ceiling. Keep the shoulders shrugging away from the ears. One more big breath in. You can take the drishti up towards the ceiling, but keep the back of the neck long. Exhale, we're going to hinge forward. Fingertips. Tuck those back toes under if we need to move the mat out of the way. Sliding right foot back to meet the left foot. Hands might need to inch back forward. We'll take a modified vinyasa. Inhaling to our kneeling plank. Exhale, lowering down half chaturanga. Inhale to your back bend, cobra pose, Bhujangasana. If you want a little bit more, you exhale, come all the way back down, tuck the toes in the tailbone. Prepare the body to push up, super strong upper body. Inhale, kneeling plank. Exhale, shift your hips back just a little bit. Hands can walk back underneath the shoulders. Left hand behind that left thigh, step it forward to our lunge. So we're trying to get the ankle below the knee. We could be on our fingertips. Add that extra cushion for the right knee as we like. Right toes stay tucked under or flatten the top of the foot. Start to bring one hand up at a time to that front thigh, and then you press that thigh away from you. So we're trying to open the left hip crease as well. The more we anchor our low back down to the ground, the more we'll feel the stretch up the front of the right thigh and hip flexor. Once we find our balance here, adding a little bit more challenge of balance is adding the arms. The breath is moving in and out through the nose, good. And we can always add that more powerful Ujjayi breath. Ujjayi breath is often used in Surya Namaskar or Vinyasa practice. Wherever we are, take one more big breath in, gazing upwards if you want a little bit more extension. Our exhale will bring us back down to fingertips. Make the adjustment with that back knee and foot in your mat as needed. Left foot slides back to meet the right foot. You do not have to take the vinyasa if you don't want. You can stay here and do cat-cows or sit back and stretch out the back in child's pose. Otherwise, we'll repeat that movement. Inhaling, kneeling plank. Exhale, lowering the upper body down as one unit all the way to the floor. Point the toes, strengthen the back. Inhaling to our cobra. Exhale, we bring everything back down, squeeze the elbows in, tuck the toes. Inhale, press the ground away from you, kneeling plank. Exhale, let's all take a break in our bow or all the way back to child's pose. So if you want to stay in the bow, you can keep your toes tucked under, fingertips reaching forward, and just the head moving towards the floor. That would be more of an intense stretch. If you need to take it all the way back and come off your wrists, do so. Good choices. So next inhale, re-extends those fingertips if they're not already there. Floats the head up and the body back up to our tabletop. Toes tucked under. Hands walk one hand's distance forward. From here, draw that low belly in. Press into the ground, and we're going to float up and back into Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Take a moment to adjust your stance as needed. Try to get your feet as parallel to each other as possible. Let the weight of those heels sink to the ground. Bend those knees if we need a little bit more space for the back. Pedal the heels, one heel at a time, if we need more stretching out the backs of the legs, which we all probably do need a little bit of. Again, distributing the weight through the first knuckles of the fingertips. There's internal rotation in the hands, external rotation in the upper arm bones. The neck should be long and loose. Drishti towards the mat. If you want a little bit more stretch for the root of the neck, take it more towards the belly button. Nice gentle inversion here as well. Get the blood flowing towards the brain. Just redirecting our energy flow, our perspective. Let's find stillness and one more breath in our pose. Inhale, let's look forward. Baby step our feet to our hands, hands to our feet. My modifiers for forward folds, knees are bent, elbows or hands around the thighs, or you're welcome to come upright. Deeper Uttanasana forward fold. Fingertips may reach towards the floor or take hold of opposite elbows. Start thinking about those lower bandhas, Mula Bandha, pelvic floor, always great to energize, lift, and tone through those perineum muscles. And Uddiyana Bandha, about 2 fingers below the navel center, about an inch or so below the navel center. Pulling in and up. Let's do some of our halfway lifts to continue with energizing those upper back muscles, improving our posture and our strength for our back. Hands to shins, thighs, wherever you need to be. Inhale, squeeze the muscles of the back to open and lift the heart. Extend the crown of the head slightly forward. It's okay to have a little bend in those knees, better than jamming your knees backwards. On the exhale, we'll release back down to Uttanasana. Inhale, halfway lift, really squeeze, over-exaggerate between those shoulder blades, that's okay. Exhale, fold. Those of us that have The desire to locust the arms and add a little bit more intensity, you're welcome to do so. It will put a little bit more pressure on the back, so be mindful. Exhale, fold. And just one more. Inhale, super strong. Use the muscles of the back, the strong legs. On the exhale, we're all going to sit back to Utkatasana. Add the arms, if they were modified, reaching them forward and up. Feet are still equally weighted. Drop the sit bones back and down. Pull the belly in. Make sure the head is still long and loose. Good. Focus that drishti on one spot. Immediately start working our brain with some balance. Hover the right foot from the floor. Exhale it down. Other foot. I think I just said the other one. Exhale it down. Now when we all try to sink a little further down, the knees should be pointing towards the toes. Next breath in takes us all the way up. Straighten the legs. Reach the arms up. Drishti upwards. Create space through the front of the body. Turn those palms out. Exhale. Float the arms down into Tadasana, where we will pause for a moment. Standing tall and strong on our own 2 feet. If we need more heart opening tonight, turn those palms forward. Spread the fingers. Feel this opening across the chest. Even over-exaggerate that squeeze between the shoulder blades. So I hunch and round, especially a lot more today. I'm on a computer all day long, so I'm over-exaggerating. But I don't want to lose the connection to my core. So we often tend to overextend, hyperextend. So if you're adding this little heart opening, still keep pulling the front body to back body. Little bend in the knees is a little better than jamming them backwards too. So think about that. Head relaxed. Let's take a breath. Inhale, reach those arms out wide, reach them up to the ceiling. Let's add the feet, lift those heels up. Reach, reach, reach. This time bring the palms to touch. Exhale, lower down. 2 more with our palm tree pose. Inhale. More of a challenge. This pose is getting a little bit easy. Follow the fingertips with your eyes. So on the inhale, reach them up overhead and try to look up. Exhale, try to follow them back down. And I lied. Let's do one more. Big breath. We'll meet on the exhale, the hands and Anjali Mudra in front of the heart. So we are going to do some standing Surya Namaskar. Again, I keep these really modified. I slow them down. You're welcome to add variables or a little bit more intensity. If you need to turn the volume up in your practice, you turn it up. If you need to turn it down, you turn it down. For myself and my practice and body, I don't do full, more traditional Surya Namaskar anymore. I just don't move like that. But you're always welcome to. So we'll need to rearrange ourselves maybe. We'll want to be at the top of our mat, standing in Tadasana with our feet hips width apart. Shoulders on our back, arms floating slightly away from the body. Again, we'll try to do a movement per breath. I tend to breathe really slowly, so it's a little easier for me. You find yourself taking additional breaths, don't worry about it, that's fine. From Tadasana, inhaling and out through the nose. Inhale, breathing, big circle, reach it up. On this exhale, micro bend the knees, hinge from the hips. Take a swan dive. So bringing the hands back and around is better for the low back. All the way into whatever our forward fold looks like tonight. Inhale, halfway lift. We got to squeeze the back, open the heart. This exhale is going to bring us back down to the ground. So bend the knees and plant the hands. Take one foot. We'll switch it up over time. Big step back, plank pose. You're welcome to drop down to kneeling. Remember, you don't have to do every one of these vinyasas. You can hang out in plank, child's pose, or down dog. Exhale, Chaturanga Dandasana. If you're doing it from full plank, you must keep your spine in neutral. No collapsing of the spine. We'll lower all the way down to our belly. Chin forward. Plant the tops of the feet to the ground. Squeeze the back. Inhale, Cobra pose. You're welcome to choose your variation of Cobra. The exhale, I bring everything back down to the ground first. This is an additional step. Tuck the toes in the tail. And then inhale, try to push back up through kneeling or full plank. Exhale, pull the belly in. Shift your hips up, back, and down, Adho Mukha Svanasana. We will pause here for a couple of breaths. So this is where we take an opportunity to just check in and to pause. All the same principles apply, so keep moving through your body. We're gonna add a lunge here, so you can follow me and modify, or you can try to look forward and step your right foot forward into a low lunge. If you're modifying, simply drop back down to those knees, right hand behind right thigh, safely step that right foot forward. This time though, we will hover the back knee from the ground, pull the core in, one hand at a time to that front thigh, press off your front thigh to inhale and rise up to a high lunge. Really important to pull in front body, anchor the tailbone, left hip moves forward, right hip over ankle. So we may have our hands on our hips. This is a balancing pose. We can also extend the arms forward and up. If you'd like to add Virabhadrasana, 1, pivot the left heel down and in slightly, trying to keep your hips and shoulders square to the front of the mat. And again, we're slowing things down, so we'll take a breath or two here. Take one more inhale in the pose. Next exhale is going to bring us all the way back down. If the heel's anchored, lift the heel up first. Draw the belly in. Slowly come down. You can use your thigh, fingertips. You may bring your back knee down first as needed, or step your right foot back. So we'll end up back in full plank or kneeling plank. Choose to pause or exhale down through Chaturanga Dandasana to the belly. Flatten out the tops of the feet, chin is forward. Inhale, your version of Bhujangasana, Cobra pose, as long as you're using the strength of your back. Little additional work. Exhale, bring it down, tuck the toes, pull the belly in, pull your elbows in. Inhale, push back up to kneeling or full plank. And then you get to choose. You may sit back into tabletop, child's pose, or Adho Mukha Svanasana. And again, take a couple breaths here. Now, if you already noticed the heart rate increasing and some warmth in your body, that's totally normal. Surya Namaskar is designed to increase and improve our metabolism, our circulation, our lung capacity, the strength of our hearts, our cardiovascular system. But more importantly, we want to make this a moving meditation, totally focused and concentrated on our breath, on the body. So next inhale looks forward, left foot steps forward, or add an extra step. Come down to those knees, left hand behind thigh, safely place the foot there. There's no hurry. Fingertips, float the back knee up, strong core, pull the belly in. Walk those hands up to the front thigh, knee over ankle. Putting pressure on that thigh should be pretty safe here. Pull front body in, anchor the tailbone. Right hip pushes forward. Hands to hips, finding our balance here. You're always welcome to widen your stance. That will help. So you don't need to be on a tightrope. Or extend those arms forward and up. High lunge, more balance work, more stretching. Anchor the right heel down, pivoting it in slightly. Just avoid rolling to the instep of the right foot. Keep the four corners of both feet anchored to the ground. Couple more breaths. Neck is long and loose. Shrug those shoulders from the ears. Then one more big breath in the pose. Exhale brings us all the way back down. Pop up the heel if it's down. Pull the core in, reach your fingertips down. Back knee can come down, left foot back, or slide your left foot back, full plank. So your choice, resting pose, vinyasa, modified, or full Chaturanga Dandasana. Better to modify and keep the alignment than try to do the fuller versions and collapse. Inhale, Bhujangasana. Extra step, exhale brings us back down. Toes tuck, elbows squeeze in, upper body strength to inhale back to kneeling or full plank. Exhale, resting pose. So that's either Adho Mukha Svanasana, Sharva Chaturasana, which is all fours, or Balasana, child's pose. Pause and breathe here. Next inhale, looks forward, steps feet to hands, hands to feet, Uttanasana, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, squeeze the back, open the heart, add those locust arms if you want them. Exhale, we'll all sit back in a chair, we'll add our arms here. Inhale, reach all the way up, strong legs, gaze upwards, extension through the body. Turn those palms out, float the arms beside the body, pause in Tadasana. So notice and observe the breath, the beating of the heart. A difference maybe a little bit in our energy, adding the extra movement. One more breath, inhale, big circle, all the way up. Palms touch, exhale to heart. So we're going to do a little bit more of our standing work. So there's a traditional set of poses that you do for every practice. I'm doing a little bit of a modified Ashtanga practice. Ashtanga, the asana practice, not the eight-limbed philosophy, though the eight-limbed philosophy should be a part of the asana practice. So the standing postures, we'll start with this Parsvottanasana or pyramid pose. So you'll either probably want 2 yoga blocks and place those to the front of your mat, or a folding chair. And I'm going to quickly grab my chair because I just decided I wanted that. Once we're set up, we'll still be facing the props facing towards the front of our mat, but we'll just adjust with our distance here. So feet are going to start hips width apart. Hands are going to start on our hips. We want the hips to be facing forward this whole time. It's a square hip pose, front body to back body. So all the same principles align. From here, take a step back with the right foot, not as far into our lunge, maybe about 2 feet. Now the right ankle will turn in again slightly, almost like a warrior one stance with that foot. Straight, strong legs, so no jamming and out locking those knees. Bring the right hip slightly forward, left hip back. On the inhale, we can over-exaggerate that heart opening as long as you're not hyperextending the low back. So if you can stay connected to your core, you can do a little stretch through the chest. On the exhale, movement is here at the hips. So press down through the feet. You can pick up those toes if you need a reminder. Pull in through the core. Maybe we come down just 15, 20 degrees. Try to keep your hips and low back as level as possible. Now we're getting the stretch up the back of the left leg. So we'll feel it maybe slightly in the calf, the hamstring, maybe even up into the glute. And the breath may or may not take us further into the pose. So we have to let our breath be our guide. If you're reaching those fingertips down to your blocks or towards the floor, that's fine. Try to keep the body, the torso long and extended. Drishti can move to the left big toe. Those of you that are there and your belly is near your thigh or on top of your thigh, you may take your drishti to your left knee. If the left knee is close, you may gently round the upper back, Jalandhara Bandha, throat to chest, throat lock, or chin to chest, excuse me, and try to make contact with your third eye and the knee. We'll take one more breath. The next inhale brings us about halfway out of the pose, so try to find a halfway lift. Find your fingertips to your props. Both legs should be super strong, belly in. On the exhale, bring one hand at a time to your hips, and then press off that front foot and inhale up to the crown of the head. That did turn into a deep inversion for some of us, so be mindful. Exhale, right foot steps forward. Float the arms beside the body. Pause in Tadasana. Inhale, big circle, reach it all the way up. Create some length in the front body. Turn the palms back out. Exhale, the arms back down, hands to hips. Keeping the hips level and square. Left foot steps back a couple feet. Angle that left heel in slightly. Make sure left hip moves forward, right hip back, so our hip headlights are shining forward. Unjam the knees. Keep those legs super straight and strong. Lift up the toes as needed. Open the heart, but stay connected to the core. Inhale. Exhale, start to hinge. We move with the breath. So next inhale, we can pause, create some space. Exhale, maybe move a little further into that space. Maybe not. Receiving that stretch all the way at the back of the right leg, especially through the right hamstring, maybe even into the glute. If you've gotten a little further into it, drishti to that right big toe or drishti to the knee, you may add that compression, throat lock, chin to chest, maybe forehead to knee. We'll take a couple more deep breaths here. Our next inhale will start to bring us back up out of the pose. Walk the fingertips forward, fingertips to props. Strength through both legs, pull the core in, halfway lift. Exhale, one hand at a time to those hips. Then press off that front foot and inhale up to the crown of the head. Once we're up, step that left foot forward, float those arms, pause in Tadasana. Inhale, reach those arms wide all the way up to the ceiling. Bring the palms to touch. Exhale to our center. So from here, we can move our props out of the way, make another little wardrobe change, as it were. So we've done this pose a few classes back. This is one of the standing poses in the Ashtanga series. It's called Utthita Hasta Padangusthasana. It's a really powerful pose. Chaya, you really like this pose. A couple times we did it. Again, I'm going to show the modified version. When we do the fuller version of this pose, it often throws us out of alignment, involves taking our yogi toe grip to our toes and trying to reach forward. So it pulls people's shoulders out of alignment and it really can strain the low back. So I don't practice that version anymore. If you have the flexibility and you want to get to that point, we can work towards that through classes. But again, no forcing or pushing the body. So if you have your yoga strap, grab your yoga strap or your scarf or towel. If you don't have a prop like that tonight, you might not even want it. You might just want to use your fingertips, okay? So now that I gave you all the warnings, as I do, because I want us to be safe and happy, we will start with the insides of the feet and legs together. So nice compression here, bringing ourselves, our attention and awareness through the midline. Those lower bandhas, our core is really going to play a significant part in this posture. Head and neck, nice and loose. We don't be straining and tensing through the face of the neck in these postures. So for one, just take the strap in the left hand for a moment. We might not even want it. Hover the right heel from the ground, standing leg is strong. From here, we'll start to play with our balance. Maybe bring the hands under the hips. That might help us focus a little bit. So you're going to pull your right knee up, hip height if possible. And this right foot needs to be actively flexing. Strong core. This in of itself is a powerful pose. trying to hold ourselves in space here with this heavy leg hanging out in front of us. So the first variation will simply be taking the right fingertips to that knee and standing here. If we'd like to try it, looping the strap under the ball of the right foot. If you have the strap, it comes into your right hand and it comes to the inside of the knee. My hips are level and square. I'm still standing nice and tall. If we fall out of it, you can always use a wall or a chair next to you. So if you want to take the modified fuller version, the shoulders should be glued to an invisible wall. You try to straighten the right foot straight forward. And then the arm will extend. So if I turn sideways, it looks something like this. So my upper body should still be super straight. All right, keep breathing. Bend the knee as needed. The next variation opens the leg out. So if the knee is bent, you just open the knee out to the right, fingertips with the strap. If your leg is straight, you are welcome to try to straighten the leg out. Stand tall. Next version is to reach the left arm out, palm faces forward, thumb up. Biggest challenge of the pose is to turn the drishti to that left thumb. And this movement isn't necessarily part of the pose. I'm just trying not to fall. So if you're dancing around in the pose, use it if it helps keep you there. Smile and breathe wherever you are for 3, 2, 1. Look back forward. Bring the hand and the knee, hand to hip, knee forward. If you have the strap, you're going to let it go. Just drop it to the floor. Hands to hips. Either just extend your foot forward. The fuller version is to lift the leg up hip height, point the toe, and hold without leaning back for 3, 2, 1. Lower. Float the arms. Pause and breathe. Heart rate going way back up? Absolutely. It's a strong, powerful pose. Come back to that smooth, even breath. Inhale, arms out and up, big stretch. Palms touch, hands to heart to recenter. If you dropped your strap down, mindfully bend your knees and pick it back up. Strap will just hang out in the right hand for a moment. You can bring that hand to the hip or both hands if it helps you focus. Zip everything up. Left heel up. Actively lift that left knee up with the toes pulling up. So this leg is super strong. If I came by and pushed down on your knee, it shouldn't go anywhere. And we're standing nice and tall. So first option, fingertips to the knee as far as we need to go. Second option, hook the strap under the ball of the foot. Hold on to the inside of the knee. Pull both shoulders back. Don't let your left shoulder come forward. Third option, straighten the foot forward, still standing tall. Elbow might be slightly bent or extended as long as both shoulders in alignment and your hips are level. Next variation is to take the leg out. If your leg is straight, you can try to open it out to the left. Otherwise, bend your knees and open it. Additional challenge, right arm reaches out from the shoulder, palm faces forward, thumb up. And probably the hardest part is to turn that drishti and try to find the thumb. Notice the breath, incorporate ujjayi breath if it helps you concentrate. I should have done the countdown. 3, 2, 1. Inhale, look forward. Hand to hip, knee moves forward. From here, we undo the strap. You may stay with the knee bent. You may just straighten it out lower, or the fuller version is try to extend it straight forward. Pull the belly in, point through the toes, and hold for 3. Awesome choices. 2, 1. Lower it down. Oh, feel that tomorrow. Float the arms down. Stand tall and proud. Big breath in, reach it up. Stretch your thumbs, a little bit of extension. Exhale, hands to heart. All right, so we're gonna start transitioning our way back down to the ground. We can move our straps out of the way. I'm gonna take us through a slow vinyasa, and then from down dog, we'll move into our pigeon pose on both sides. Those of you that aren't doing your prone pigeon, I've shown this to you, but just as a gentle reminder, you will transition to your back, extend the right leg up first, important to keep that foot flexed, crossing the ankle over the left thigh, hanging here, left leg pulls up, hands behind the thigh, the shin bone, or with the left leg extended. And then when we transition, you can do a little transition. But we can all move through our vinyasa and get there when we're ready. So let's come back to the top of our yoga mat, standing in Tadasana one last time. Feel the body connected to that invisible wall, heart open. Equal weight in both feet. Big breath in, following that breath. Reach the arms out wide, turn the palms up. Drishti to the thumbs for a gentle back bend. Exhale, micro bends those knees, pull the belly in, reaching those arms back, around, and down into our Uttanasana, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, bends the knees, plant the hands. Try to step back with the opposite foot this time, all the way back to our full plank or kneeling plank. Exhale, Chaturanga Dandasana or kneeling. Inhale, strong backs, Bhujangasana. Exhale, come back down, tuck the toes in the tailbone, pull the belly in. Inhale, straighten those arms back to kneeling or full plank. Exhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Let's pause for a breath here. Those of you that are going to move into supine pigeon, you can bend your knees and transition onto your backs now. Prone pigeon people, next inhale, we'll float the right leg up. The exhale will pull our right knee forward under the body. Ankle it out behind the right wrist. So the right thigh is angled out 10, 20 degrees, somewhere in that neighborhood. Slide the left foot back. Take a prop under the right hip if it needs support. Start sinking the hips and the low back down to the ground equally. Relax the top of the back foot to the ground. Keep the length through the spine, and if our breath takes us there, we may start to come down to elbows, forearms, maybe belly and forehead. Helping to stretch out the deep gluteal muscles, the rotators, piriformis. We will hold this pose for a moment here, so use the breath. Let's all try to take one more nice big cycle of breath in this pose, using that exhale to let go of whatever we can clean out and let go of. If you're on your back, you will inhale, re-extend the right leg to the ceiling, straightening the leg up first, and then you can drop the right foot to the floor and wipe your knees side to side. If we're on our bellies, walk onto the elbows, the hands as needed. Tuck the back toes under, inch yourself slightly forward. Really important to push into the ground and bring the body weight off of the right knee and leg before we try to move it out of the pose. And once you're ready, you can walk your dog, you can stir the pot, wiggle around a little bit.
and get the benefit of that blood one more time, rushing through those joints like a dam breaking. Other side, supine pigeon, straighten the left leg up to the ceiling, keep that foot flexed, ankle over thigh, moving through your variations as you choose. Down dog, left leg up, pulls the left knee under, angling the left knee out behind the left wrist. Again, that thigh should be moving out at a slight angle. Slide the right foot back, add props under the left hip as needed. Try to sink those hips and low back equally down towards the ground. Relax the back foot, it can sickle out slightly. Keep length through the whole back body. And then our breath might take us into a different variation. Another pose that can feel quite different from one side to the next. And we will pause and breathe deeply here for a moment. One more breath on this side. Use that exhale, let it go. And following the breath to release. So again, if you're on your back, just straighten the left leg first. Bring the feet down, rock it out. If we're on our belly, elbows, hands, back toes tuck, inch forward. Use that upper body strength that we've been building to press into the ground, bringing the weight off of the knee, and then walking it out, stirring the pot, whatever you like. One more breath. And then we'll drop down on those knees. If you were on your back and you want to meet us in child's pose, you can. Sliding our hands back to our feet, bowing the head down to the ground, dropping the arms down, giving our whole back another big stretch here. Hands under those shoulders, tuck the chin. Let's round it all the way up, one vertebra at a time. We can shift our weight over to either hip and then bring our feet forward. So we are ready to come down onto our backs. And we had straps earlier. Have the yoga strap or the prop that you're using as your strap nearby. We'll do our Supta Padangusthasana tonight as well. And you'll notice that Supta Padangusthasana mirrors our Utthita Hasta Padangusthasana, our big standing balancing pose we did today. Only difference is that our whole body is connected to the ground, but it's the same basic movements in the body. So it's kind of cool to repeat the pose just in a different plane. So we'll move ourselves around onto our mat so we have space behind us. You know you're always welcome to walk yourself down to your back. If you'd like to do our slow roll down to strengthen the core, plant the feet, open the knees wider than the hips, pull the belly in strongly, reaching fingertips forward, and then trying to release down one vertebra at a time. It's core, core, core. Once we all make it down to the ground, we'll go right into our long body stretch. Reaching those arms overhead, straightening the legs out, point and flex the feet a couple times, spread the fingers and toes, even do the little reach side to side. On the exhale, let's float our arms down. Walk the shoulder blades under, loosen up clothing, adjust hair and ponytails. Walk the feet in, and let's hug our knees in for a moment and massage out our back. We'll bring the feet to the floor. We'll start with our right leg, taking hold of our strap. Bend the right knee into the body. We'd like to hook the strap under the lower arch of the foot. So right where the big arch meets the heel in that section. Variation in hand holds. I like to keep my arms straight and my shoulders kind of just slightly hovering from the floor and let my hands do all the work. Wrapping my hands around my strap takes some of that effort out. Some people like to slide their hands down, elbows to the ground. As long as your heart stays open, I do recommend having the strap in both hands so our shoulders can be open. So straighten out that leg, open up the eye of the right knee, press the right foot up into the strap. Simultaneously, slide the left heel forward. That left foot is super active. This would be the foot and leg that we would be standing on if we were repeating the balancing version of the pose. So you can pretend that your left foot is standing on the floor, pressing into the ground. It should be strongly anchored to the ground, low back flat to the floor. One more breath. Now take a hold of the strap in the right hand. Left hand anchors the left hip to the ground. Super strong left side. It's got to stay connected. Inhale, try to bring the right thigh closer to the torso. That may mean bending the right knee at first. Open the right leg to the right. So again, repeating what we did in our balancing pose. Try to open that right leg, opening the hip. The elbow can be in contact with the floor, or that upper arm bone, I should say. Right hand does the work. Big stretch for the groin and inner thigh. Left arm may reach out from the shoulder, head may turn to the left. Couple breaths here. Next inhale, we'll bring the head and the leg back up, help it up with the strap. Stay on this leg, just switch hands. So now the left hand takes a hold of the strap. Right hand can help anchor the right hip so we get into this IT band. With the straight leg, we just try to cross it over the midline, keeping the back and the hips flat to the floor. We should start to feel a pretty big stretch in this outer hip again. Move the foot around and the leg around a little bit to kind of intensify that. You're welcome to punch and massage into those connective tissues. And then we may want to take this into a fuller twist. So at that point, we'll let the right leg come over. Left elbow can be a kickstand. The hip may come up, but keep the right shoulder down. Right arm reaches out, head turns to the right. Even closing the eyes and just releasing, twisting, and breathing. Our next inhale releases the pose, the head and the leg will lift up. One more stretch here, those of us that want it, open the strap back up in both hands. Left leg is still anchored, right leg is still straight. You can just gently try to draw the right leg a little closer or float the head and the shoulders up as if you were trying to bring the nose to the knee. Now, some of you have that flexibility, that's wonderful. If you don't, we're just trying to get a bigger stretch all the way through that connective tissue. Take a big breath in. On the exhale, let's lower the head down. Now here's what I want us to try tonight is to slide, keep the right leg straight, slide the belt off the sole of the right foot, and with the right leg straight, using your core, try to slowly lower the right leg all the way down to the ground to meet the left leg. So we should end up in like a shavasana with both legs flat to the floor, Relax your arms out beside the body for a moment. If you're able to keep that right leg straight, pause and notice the difference in how your right side feels as compared to your left side. And we might feel 2 inches taller through that whole right side. We can really feel that significant change from one side of the body to the next. And now our left side is jealous and it wants that big stretch. So walk those feet in, draw the belly in to hug the knees in, rock out the back a little bit. Drop both feet back to the floor, take a hold of that strap, bend the left knee in, hooking the strap on the lower arch where the arch meets the heel. Choose your hand and arm position, whatever works best for you. Opening up the eye of the knee and the back of the left leg to start. Really press that left foot up into the strap. Your heart should be open. Simultaneously slide your right heel forward, super strong. That foot is flexed. That's our standing leg now. Pretend you're standing on your right foot and anchoring it to the floor. One more breath here. Now take a hold of that strap in the left hand. Right hand on the hip to anchor it. Right side has to stay strong and grounded. Low back and hips flat to the floor. Draw that left side closer to the torso, even if that means bending the knee first. Inhale, open the left leg to the left. Drop that up, left elbow to the ground to work as a kickstand. Keep tension on the belt. Maybe try to re-extend the left leg. Right shoulder down. Right arm reaches out from shoulder. Head turns to the right. Big inner thigh, growing muscle stretch. Take a couple breaths. Next inhale, brings the head, help that leg back up. Take a hold of the strap in the right hand. Left hand can help anchor the left hip to the ground. So at first, we want to keep our back and hips flat to the floor. We're just angling the left leg across the midline, whatever degree it needs to be to start stretching out that IT band. Move the leg around in space a little bit to get into that nice intense spot that we can massage or punch into. If we have homework to do there tonight, we stay there, or we take it into our twist. We'll allow the leg to move across the body, right elbow to the floor, tension on the strap. Left hip comes up, keep the left shoulder down, left arm out, turn the head to the left, close the eyes, slow deep breath. One more breath. And the inhale, the head and the leg float back up. Take your time. One more big stretch here. Open the strap up in both hands. Make sure your right leg is nice and strong. Either just gently draw, see if the left leg comes a little closer, or roll the head and the shoulders from the floor as if knee was coming to the nose. Some of you might be closer, and that's great. Big breath in. On the exhale, lower the head down. We're going to try to do the same thing on this side. So keep the left leg straight. Just loosen your grip off the belt and try to slide it off the foot. Now you're holding the left leg up on its own. Use your core and lower that straight leg all the way down to the floor. Once the left leg touches down, let the arms roll open beside the body. Relax, pause, and observe. And then we're going to move right into our final relaxation. So we might need to bend the knees up, readjust our hips, our back. We might want to roll to one side and gather up some pillows or blankets to place underneath or on top of our body tonight. So again, just move mindfully. Whatever position you want to take, a supported shavasana, grounded, maybe a little bit more lift for our legs this evening. Eye pillows if you have them. Or just a washcloth or a little light piece of fabric can work nicely. So if you need another moment to get comfortable, take that moment. Rearrange your surroundings, adjust your props, your clothing, your hair. Reorganize the shoulders, the arm bones, the leg bones. And then we'll press that pause button. Cultivate stillness from the outside in and the inside out. Closing our eyes. Allow those hard-working eyes to sink into the sockets. Relax all the little muscles around the eyes, the eyebrow center, the forehead. Poof the cheeks, swallow a couple times. Releasing the tongue and lower jaw to gravity. Relax the throat. Feel an openness across the chest. Feel the weight of the arms sinking into the earth. Notice the energy at the centers of the palms. Soften the back of the heart and all the way down the back, releasing the low back into the ground. Relax the belly completely, all of the abdominal muscles and internal organs. Notice the rise and fall of the belly with the breath. Relax the large muscles around the hips, the buttocks, and thighs. Feeling the weight of the legs all the way down through the knees into the ankles, the feet, and toes. Notice the energy of the soles of the feet. Relax the whole body. Soften and relax the inside of the body. The breath is easy, quiet, calm. And when the mind wanders, Gently bring it back to this peaceful breath. Giving ourselves just one more moment of today to let go, to relax, and to sink into Shavasana. Slowly start coming back to the rhythm of the natural breath. Breathing life back to the physical body, waking up the toes, the fingertips, a rock of the head, rolling out the ankles and the wrists. Next inhale, can bring the arms all the way back overhead to our long body stretch, moving side to side, creating space in our body front to back. Stretching out the fingertips, the toes, the hands and the feet. Our next exhale floats the arms down, walking the feet in, and then hugging the knees back into the body if that's comfortable. We'll bring our right arm beside the head, rolling onto our right side, cradling the head on the arm in Supta Balasana, sleeping baby pose. This is a pose of rebirth and a place to set a positive intention or mantra to take with us off of our mat, back into our daily lives. And then keeping the eyes closed or soft, let's press down into the ground. We'll bring our body back up and visit any comfortable seated posture. Finding our sit bones, sitting up tall through the crown of the head, and taking a couple more breaths together tonight. Minding our space, float those arms out beside the body. Turn the palms up, big breath in to reach those arms all the way up and to gather up everything we need for the rest of our night. Turning those palms back out, exhale, float the arms all the way back down, letting go of all that other junk we don't need tonight. One more time, inhale those arms up. This time, join the palms together. Exhale the hands in front of the heart to Anjali Mudra.
humbly bowing the head down to the heart to honor and thank ourselves, our bodies, each other, and anyone else that allows us to come together and practice our yoga together. If you'd like to join me in chanting the Om Shanti mantra tonight, please do so. Otherwise, just sit with the breath for a moment. To begin, we take a deep breath in through the nose. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om.